Explorers!
Greetings collectors and welcome to today's retro game review. Now, who doesn't enjoy the thrill of a light gun game? Especially if it's a horror-based light gun game. Well, that's exactly what we have today, in what I can only describe as a bit of a mess of a game in Konami's 1995 arcade release of Crypt Killer. However, I'll be using the even scarier Japanese Sega Saturn title, Henry Explorers. Yes, for some reason the 1997 Sega Saturn release was regionalised as Henry Explorers, a decision that still baffles me to this day. So, Henry Explorers, my oh my, where to begin with this one? I'll say straight out of the gate that this is one hot mess of a game. The sound design is questionable.
Be careful!
The gameplay throws in some very cheap hits. And the graphics? Yikes. You'll question if this is actually running on a Sega Saturn or a Sega Master System at times. But I'm not here to hate on video games by any means, that's just not what the channel is all about. Instead, I'd invite you to join me as I look at some of the more charming aspects of this game. Henry Explorers is best described as an on-rail shooter, much like the perhaps better known genre king that is Sega's House of the Dead. The first piece of good news here is that you can use a standard pad, the 3D pad, shuttle mouse and of course the light gun, making this quite a versatile game to set up. Of course, if you have a CRT, the light gun is the obvious way to go. To not give you all seizures from the screen refreshes, I'm recording this footage using a standard pad, so please excuse the less than perfect gameplay. So really, we're off to a winner here if you're into horror shooters. Your game does also have a purpose. See yourself as a sort of very polygonal Indiana Jones in search of the game's treasure, the Eyes of Guidance. Your crypt guide Galazon will be ever present to impart his knowledge and generally give the game some sort of context. He will tend to pop up at the start of the levels and also at the midpoint.
The sealed door of destiny is opened by 2 eyes of guidance, and the treasures will be decided by the route you choose, so choose your path carefully.
Out of the gate, you'll be able to select from any of the 6 crypts. These each have a different main theme, but they do also cross over due to the branching path system. Expect stages with an aquatic feel, classic tomb raiding, caves and creepy towers. In terms of range, what's on offer here is actually rather good. Once you've chosen your path, it's time to blast those monsters. It's all very much shoot 'em up goodness that you would expect from the genre. Along the way, you're able to pick up bonus weapons including an automatic gun, a Gatling gun, shotgun, and even a grenade launcher. Good stuff. Each crypt will have a halfway point. Here you must choose wisely, as the decision will have more consequences than you might initially think. You see, Henry Explorers pulls a bit of a multiple ending trick. Remember those Eyes of Guidance stones that we were after? Well, you have to collect them in the right order to get the better endings. If you choose correctly, you'll receive the legendary sword ending. You'll need to find the red stone, followed by the blue stone to see this ending. This is seen as the game's best outcome. Although there is also a good standard ending in which you find the treasure. Or how about a bad ending in the way of a fake treasure chest and the level bosses teaming up on you? There's some decent replay value here and worth finding all of the endings.
What? Far in the back? Could it be? Hey! No matter which I take, they're all priceless treasures. This is a fantastic discovery.
But how about those bosses? Well, all good shooting games need them. You'll be treated to a Hindu god, a pharaoh's head, a rock monster thing, a Medusa, a Hydra, and a Sphinx. It's time to get trigger happy at this point, as you'll need to sink in a serious amount of shots into some of these enemies to take them down. I found that saving up a stash of bombs helped get their initial health bars down before finishing them off. On the surface, Henry Explorers is actually a very fun experience. But there are a herd of elephants in the room. Yes, you've all noticed it by now. The game looks absolutely shocking in graphical quality. If you like pixelation, well, have all the pixelation in the world. There's just no getting away from it. It looks bad on the Sega Saturn and equally bad on the PlayStation, but in other respects. Where sprites have been rotoscoped, they can display some horrendous pixelation as they scale and advance. Some of the sprites also seem to have not been clipped properly, leading to jagged edges or in some cases dark outlines. In other cases, the colour palette also sticks out like a sore thumb due to the way the game is lit. There's just no two ways about it. Henry Explorers is an ugly looking game. The second issue is perhaps the sound. Get used to hearing your player scream and shoot their mouth off reasonably frequently. There's also an element of cheap hits due to some of the stage designs. On the whole, things work quite well. When they don't, well, they just don't. It's perhaps worth us also taking a look at the physical piece at this moment. I have here the Japanese Sega Saturn edition of the game. It's, well, yeah, it is what it is. Looking at this one on the shelf, would you know that it's a horror shooter? It seems to have a mix of styles here, some super friendly wavy text next to some rather haphazardly placed stock art from the game. Also, I actually questioned whether this was a genuine copy due to the print quality. This won't be easy to demonstrate on camera, but there were clearly design issues here. The print quality on the Konami logo, text and skeletons are all fine and dandy, but the print on the Pharaoh is actually blurred. No, really, it has that awkward aliasing effect when you scale an image. It just has that slightly out of focus look. Either way, the manual is all rather standard and the case itself is really just a standard jewel case. You certainly won't be collecting this one for the physical copy. I can't help thinking though that outside of Japan we got a better deal in terms of artwork. The US packaging? Not bad. It's a similar idea but just seems to stand the test of time a little better. The move to a darker background and removal of the Pharaoh really helped here. Now this might just be me, but I've never really cared for the white borders on the US Sega Saturn cases though. Somehow they seem to cheapen the feel of the product. This is just an opinion though. Contrast this to the European version. Really it's the same idea. I just feel that the darker background helps ground the image a little better. We're now full frame, much as a movie poster might be. As an alternate, I have seen this design kicking around here in the UK, a simpler skull motif. It works well in my opinion. There's no doubt that this game is intended to be horror themed. Either way, compared to the Japanese release, they all compare rather favourably. It would be interesting to hear which design other collectors prefer. So it's at this point you're wondering, why am I bothering to show you this rather broken down mess of a game? It looks pretty bad, the sound isn't great, and generally it's quite a short game. It also gets some shocking reviews online. But I think that people have missed a trick with this one. Quite a lot of the reviews I've seen focus in so much on the graphics that gamers have forgotten the most important element of any game. And that's how much can I sell this for on eBay? No, that's not the most important thing to ask yourself. The question you should be asking is it fun to play? And surprisingly, the answer is yes, very much so. Others may disagree with me, and that's okay, but I genuinely had fun playing this one. Go into this one expecting a fun B-horror movie style experience, and just go along for the ride. Skeletons pop out at you, there's decent boss fights, and some really well executed set pieces. Yes, it does look like somebody has thrown House of the Dead into a blender and then magnified it, but if you can get past the very obvious flaws, there is still a lot of fun to be had here. Personally, I feel it definitely falls into that it's so bad it's good category. Don't get me wrong, I'd clearly choose House of the Dead over Henry Explorers any day, but that's not to say that you can't enjoy both. This one tends to be reasonably priced these days, so I would say give it a go if you like what you see here. For a party game at Halloween, I can see this one going down rather well. It's fast, it's fun, it's all a bit of nonsense and doesn't take itself too seriously, so it makes it a good game in my opinion. Not on any technical level of course, but just in terms of fun. Until next time, happy gaming and happy hauntings. Hello again, I hope you enjoyed today's show and thank you for the view. Remember, you can always comment, like, subscribe and find us on the social media sites below. Happy collecting!